Hey guys, got Blake here, Temp Citz. So you would have seen him on YouTube reviewing heaps of bikes, and what else do you do?
Mostly that, yeah. A couple of little bike build videos and modifications, but yeah, mostly the reviews, yeah.
It's a good channel, so make sure you check it out. But this video is part of the Ultimate Learner's Guide, so I love just interviewing people like you who've done a lot of Ks, ridden lots of bikes, seen lots of different riders, and just give your brain dump on your top bits of advice when being a learner, because we get a lot of guys that watch this stuff who are either considering becoming a motorcyclist for the first time, or they've been a rider and they're just about to go get licensed. So my first kind of question is, I like to kind of hit the big elephant in the room, and that is like, how do you respond to someone when they say some idiot pulled out on them and like motorcycling is dangerous because there's so many idiots on the road? Like, what's your response to that?
The biggest thing that I've found that people don't quite get until they start riding is you're just always more alert, and that's a skill that you build, but just by nature of being on the bike, you're more alert, so you're taking more notice. You're not necessarily taking the same risks you would in a car because you're just watching out. You're paying attention for what other people are doing around you a bit more, because you can't just give them a little tap.
It's so true. One of the things we always try and say is that as a motorcyclist, you should be aware. So you should never say that idiot pulled out on me. You should be like, I saw that idiot pull out before he thought he was going to pull out. I knew he was going to pull out.
And you see it coming.
You've got to just be anticipating. See it coming. But to think like that and have the vision, like the not be so narrow vision and tunnel vision, but to be able to look and be aware and relaxed. Any tips you got to just get comfortable so you don't have to think about actually riding?
I guess it's hard when you first jump on. Something that just comes with clocking up the Ks, like you just got to get that on-road experience, get out as much as you can, find friends to ride with, and just get comfortable riding the bike. So the riding of it becomes second nature, and then you can just focus on the road. You're not worrying about learning how to ride. Like, obviously you have to when you start, but the more time and experience you can put in, if you go for rides with friends on quiet weekends, you get a bit of that road experience where you're not just jumping straight into like 9 to 5 traffic.
Great point. It's interesting, just before I had Wayne Maxwell, he called me up. He ran his Australian Superbike champion, bit of a legend of the game, so full name drop here. But he called me because he runs the mini motard stuff at the go-kart tracks. So a lot of kids buy, and adults too, but a lot of junior stuff buy his smaller road bikes and they race them around the go-kart tracks. Anyway, he rang me up because he wants to get 10 of our 125 kids dirt bikes to do drills, I think for all ages, in the car park. So he said one of the best things you can do to develop your skills, and it's a huge trend in Europe, is to just do drills in a car park. Slow bike stuff, balance stuff, gymkhanas, pretty cool.
That was one of the things learning, remembering back, was just sitting there and we did laps up and down a basketball court at the motorbike license place that I went to, and you just let the clutch out, and then you feel it and you pull it back in, and you get used to that, and then you put a bit more and you put a bit more on. So by the time you go and you're used to.
It's good. If you have checked out our 5-step Learn to Ride program, if you're watching and you've never ridden before, what we do is we teach you to put your choke on or turn your idle up just a touch, and then use your clutch, get to know your clutch without having your hand on the throttle. So then if you do get out of control, you can't whiskey throttle it and hit the fence. But the worst that can happen is you stall the bike. So this slow bike stuff's so good.
And on it, it's easier to ride a bike fast. Once you're off and go, I actually just went to Vietnam with a friend, and he'd never ridden before. And we got dirt bikes and rid up through the north.
Hard to feel sorry for you. That sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, it was good. We started in the busy cities, and that was really hard. And then once we got onto the freeways, it was really easy for him to get used to the weight of the bike and all the rest of it. And it was the slow, trafficy stuff that's hard, because you're under pressure from cars behind you, and it's just practice. It's honestly just getting hours and kilometres under your belt. And
how did he go up in the hills?
He did really well actually, which was would have been good for him.
Man, chuck that on the bucket list.
Awesome trip going through the north there on a couple of dirt bikes. But it was some of the best roads you've ever been in. So for him, he'd done a week of riding, but he got more experience in that week of riding than most people get. Five years in the game, sort of thing.
So you're in traffic. It's, I guess, what, lunchtime on a Wednesday.
Yep.
Do you feel safe on the road?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I feel comfortable.
Calm, like traffic. Chill, or?
I mean, as long as you get used to letting things go. You know, if you let someone cut you off and that ruins your day, like that's a bad place to be in.
Yeah.
You know, you've just got to get used to people aren't going to pay as much attention as you, and you've got to pay the extra attention that they're not going to.
Man, that's such good advice. Like your emotional regulation
Yeah.
is such a powerful, when we're doing like performance stuff, we talk about some of the most successful people I know. You can't tell if they have a good day or a bad day because they turn up and they give it everything. Their emotional regulation and their ability to be joyful and passionate is the same in good time and bad times. And I think like that's a self-help type technique, but it's actually really good for motorcycling because you can't afford to like want to, you know, punch the dude in the face.
You watch the videos and like, you know, every time someone cuts someone off, someone will go and punch the mirror of someone in traffic, and it's like, it's great. It's great for getting views. Horrible for making it as a long-term rider. You know, like you just, as funny as it is to watch the videos, it's not something you can get into yourself.
So we're not going to see the Temp Citz Road Rage edition?
No.
I'd like to see that. I'd pay to see that. Comment actually.
Pull someone out of the car. And
I'm interested, if you're watching on one of the platforms that allows comments, have you had road rage on the bike? Give us we hear some awesome stories. So, I mean, we laugh about it, but it is a good fundamental. I just say, if you've come from being a car driver, I remember I've said this a few times on here, but when I first met my wife and got in the car with her, and she just went through a green light and didn't look, and I was like, my anxiety was high because I'm like looking. I don't care what the lights say. I care what, like, I've checked with my own eyes that there's nothing coming.
Yeah, because it happens. You know, like. There's a million different things going on whenever anyone's driving. Like you've just got to make up for the extra that they're not paying attention, you know? And then like if you see it happening and then it happens and it keeps happening, you just get used to it. And like exposure therapy, you know, you start getting used to it. It doesn't ruin your day, and then just part of
life.
Going. Yeah, that's it.
Did you grow up as a motorcyclist?
No, I got into it when I was at uni.
There you go. So what, early 20s or something like that?
Late teens.
Late teens. You thought, I'm going to become a motorcyclist. I want to get my license. What's your advice to someone or to your younger self about how to choose what bike you're going to buy?
What I found, I started on a 150, which obviously not
10 foot tall.
Yeah, not a great idea. I think anything over that 250 is enough power. You've just got to. You've got to have something that's big enough to be able to keep up with traffic. That was an issue for me. Was I used to find myself in pretty dangerous situations, going up steep hills where the speed limit was 80. Everyone was doing 100, and I couldn't maneuver out of danger if I had to. So as long as you've got like a baseline bike, you know, like 250 and above that can do the speed limit, that would be a big one for me going back. That's probably the biggest lesson that I learned was...
What about, everyone jumps on and goes, all right, what's the highest powered lambs? That's the most searched thing. What's the fastest lambs bike known to man? And one of my things is that's a cool thing to ask, but it's still a lambs bike, it's still restricted. So we have CBR 650s, Ninja 650s. You have to say they're at the pointy end of like the fastest, the most premium lambs bikes. And they're like 12 grand or more probably. What's your feeling or thoughts on, you're on your lambs, what size, does it matter? What size engine?
I mean the 400s can go just as quick as most cars. The 650s are a bit heavier, so they're not always great for everyone.
Interesting point,
I mean, like if you got Mark Marquez out here on a 250, he would smoke me, and I could be on a leader bike, and he'd smoke me through the corners. So like, straight line speed is one thing, but also you get pretty sick of going fast in a straight line, and all of a sudden the corners, and then that extra power, it just makes up for bad riding a lot of the time. So like, if you learn to go fast on a slow bike, you're going to have more fun than someone that goes fast on a big bike.
And it's nothing better than actually twisting the throttle.
Exactly, I've had plenty of big bikes, and I've started going back towards the Lambs bikes because you can ring them out a bit, and you're not losing your license as much as on, you know, like you get on an R1, and you're doing 101st. You know, like it's fun for a little bit, and then it stops being fun real quick, and just starts being sketchy.
So you rode here your personal bike as a Lambs bike?
Yeah. I've just got a Yamaha XT 660, which is
interesting to hear.
Yeah, which is a single-cylinder thumper Lambs bike,
That's cool.
which I didn't even realise until and previously I had a SV 650, but it was a non-Lambs one, and that had enough power to you know keep up with almost everything on the road. You know, I was never wanting more.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much a Lambs 650. So.
Man, interesting. I like hearing that because a lot of people don't think about that.
No, yeah, the range on Lambs bikes these days is ridiculous.
Pretty awesome.
Compared to the old 250 days, when everyone had a 250 Ninja and that was it. You're spoilt for choice now, which is good.
True.
Yeah.
That's the big thing we're trying to do with the leasing is give you a choice. Come and try everything. Try all the brands. You see on the list, we've got like 160 different models on them.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and when you haven't ridden any bike, you don't know what you like.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a pretty big investment.
Yeah.
You know, the last thing you want to do is spend 10, 12 grand on a Ninja 650 and then go, doesn't actually fit what I want to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, so the leasing program's pretty great for that because you can ride one bike, swap it over, try something, and see what actually works for you. I mean, I've just gotten the 7th or 8th bike, and it's a supermoto.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it turns out that that's what I should have been riding the whole time because I fit on it, whereas none of the others I fit on. Yeah.
So have you found, just talking to people, how many bikes do people normally go through before they find the bike they love?
Hey, well, I think people tell you that the bike they have is the bike they love, and then they ride something else, and all of a sudden it changes. I mean, that's what happened with me with dirt bikes. Like I did that Vietnam trip, rode a dirt bike for a couple of weeks. I'm like, I need to get one of these. Like I got home and went, what have I done? I've missed out. So it definitely takes a few different bikes to find out what you actually like.
Yeah, good point. No, awesome. All right, man, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a few bits of advice.
Yeah, cheers.
Appreciate it. Talk soon. Temp Citz on YouTube.